The reveal is coming in season 5 and I am 100% positive on that. And it's not like I'm saying the reveal is going to happen because I strictly want it to happen in season 5, which is true, but I think it's coming because of actual evidence I've found. But first and foremost, I want to talk about something when it comes to reveal, just so we're all on the same page. I feel like there's been a lot of conflict when it comes to like the reveal happening in season 5. And for the most part, when I say that the reveal is going to happen in season 5, a lot of people kind of say the same stuff to counteract what I just said. So I just want to take a second to just clear the air and make sure that we're all on the same page. Just because the reveal is happening in season 5 does not mean that the show will end. There are 2 other confirmed seasons past season 5, so there are 7 total confirmed seasons, but that also doesn't mean that the reveal can't happen yet because there are 2 other seasons. The thing is, Miraculous isn't strictly just about the love square / the reveal. So yeah, of course if the show was strictly about the reveal, the show would end right after it because there wouldn't be any need to add on to the story. The love square and the reveal is only a small fragment of what Miraculous is actually about. There's more to the story than just their love, and yeah, of course it is a really big part in Miraculous, but that's not what it's actually strictly about. It's about the supervillains and the superheroes and Hawkmoth. And there's literally a Hawkmoth of the future, you know, when Adrien, Marinette, Ladybug, Cat Noir, they're all together. So that shows that there's actually more to the story even after the reveal happens. Plus, in what world would a show end when the 2 main characters get together? Like, it just doesn't happen. There's always multiple seasons after they've gotten together that we get to see them be together. But now that we are all hopefully on the same page, onto the actual signs. First of all, what I think is the biggest sign is just the growth within the love square. But actually, this one sign is kind of split into 4 different parts. So I guess this first part is like sign 1, part 1, which is Adrien, but more specifically Adrien's side of Adrien. In my opinion, he's definitely had the most growth when it comes to the love square, because I mean the dude was literally locked in his house all his life and was never really able to explore his feelings, so it makes sense that he'd have a hard time trying to figure them out. To be honest, he's actually gone a very long way and I'm very proud of him. But it's not a mystery that Adrien is in love with Marinette, and he has been since day 1. He's literally admitted to it in Cat Blanc when he says, "I realize you're not just a friend to me. I've always felt like we were more than that, and now I know why." Which indicates that he's always felt differently towards her than his other friends, but never really understood or realized his feelings for her because he's only ever thought of them as friends. And when it comes to the Origins episode, Adrien went to school that day trying to make friends, and that's what he did. He only was ever trying to make friends. It's not like he was looking for a girlfriend. I think the reason that he felt so inclined to become her friend and like fix everything between them is because of his feelings for her. Obviously, his feelings for her from the beginning were never strong, but they were definitely there. But like I said, because he went into that situation just wanting to be her friend, he's never actually thought to think of their relationship as more than that. With Ladybug, he didn't go into that partnership just wanting to be friends, which is why I think he was actually able to realize his feelings for her. But from that moment on, he's definitely grown to love her more and also show that he loves her more. And one of my favorite things about Adrien is the fact that when you look at Ladybug and Kagami, the 2 people that Adrien has been interested in, Marinette is kind of the complete opposite of that. So to be honest, it doesn't make sense that he would fall for her, but he did. And the biggest example I have of how he's grown to love Marinette is when Marinette was being really clumsy or dorky or just kept stuttering. He has this look on his face like, okay, this is really awkward. And actually acts like it too, which I mean is completely called for because it was awkward. But now when those same things happen, he doesn't act like it's awkward. Instead, he just has like this loving look on his face. I think it's a combination of him being used to it now, but also that he loves her more now, which in general is an example that he's grown to love her flaws, which I think is sadly something Miss Marinette Dupain-Chang fails to see. She sees her flaws as something bad and as something that she should try and change in order to fit Adrien. But I think she needs to realize that that dorky, goofy, weird side of her is what Adrien loves most about her, which is kind of what Alia was talking about in Psychomedian. I mean, she wasn't talking about like the fact that that dorky side is what Adrien loves most about Marinette, but she was just talking about how Marinette doesn't really see the beauty in her flaws, and like that weird side of her is what makes Marinette Marinette, and she shouldn't have to change it, she should just embrace it. But yeah, overall, there's definitely a difference between how Adrien used to perceive Marinette and how he perceives her now. Also, not to mention, if Adrien wasn't in love with Marinette before, he definitely is now, because in Mr. Pigeon 72, there was thunder in the background of the In the Rain scene 2.0, which basically indicates that he's now in love with her. When it comes to Adrien's side of Adrienne, I definitely think that Mr. Pigeon 72 was a big turning point for him, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he knows he's in love with her yet. There's still a lot of growth that needs to happen when it comes to that stuff, which is what I think season 5 is for. Sign 1 part 2 is about Miss Marinette's side of Adrien. I feel like when you think of Adrien on a very base level, you wouldn't think that there's been any growth on Marinette's side of Adrien, but there definitely has been if you look. Marinette has grown to love Adrien a lot more. When Marinette first fell in love with Adrien, she fell for Adrien Agreste, the son of Gabriel Agreste, a famous fashion designer who is a model and has the perfect life, this sunshine boy who's perfect in every way and can do no wrong and has no flaws. Not just Adrien, a boy from her class. I mean, obviously Marinette didn't like Adrien at first, but then she fell in love with him because she got to see, I guess, somewhat more of the real him. But when it comes to image, she didn't fall in love with Adrien. She fell in love with Adrien Agreste. But over time, and by that I mean mainly starting with Risk, she's gotten to see more of the real Adrien and what his life is actually like. She's definitely grown to understand Adrien a lot more, and I think she's finally starting to fall in love with the boy, not the image. But even though she's starting to fall for the true Adrien, she'll never actually be in love. Well, okay, not necessarily she'll never be, but at least right now she isn't completely in love with the true Adrien because of one thing. Cat Noir, which leads me to Sign 1 Part 3, Ladybug when it comes to Lady Noir. I think with Ladybug it's a lot harder to see the growth of her feelings for Cat Noir, but it's definitely there if you look at it. Here's the thing, Lady Noir has definitely always been all over the place. Like one minute Ladybug will be super cutesy with Cat Noir, and then the next second she's literally throwing him into the trash can. And Ladybug's always talking about how Cat Noir should get over her. Then the second that there was a possibility that Cat Noir had actually gotten over her, she got mad. What? And by the way, I'm not trying to like bash Ladybug or anything. Sometimes the stuff that she did was completely called for. To the extent that she did it, I don't think was called for, but overall it was kind of called for. Anyway, moving on. Do I think that Ladybug has been in love with Cat Noir since day one? Honestly, absolutely not. I think when it comes to Adrien and Lady Noir, I think Ladybug is the one that took longer to fall for Cat Noir than Adrien took to fall for Marinette. Also, with Ladybug it gets complicated because obviously at some point she started to fall for Cat Noir, but also at the same time she keeps pushing her feelings down to the point where after finding out Cat Noir was Adrien, she couldn't even tell her feelings for him. Like with Adrien, when he found out that Marinette was Ladybug and Cat Blanc, he actually realized his feelings for Marinette. Like it took him finding out that Marinette was Ladybug for him to actually physically realize his feelings that he already had for Marinette. But with Ladybug, even after finding out that Adrien was Cat Noir, those feelings didn't come back. She didn't realize those feelings like Adrien did. But over time, at some specific times, I think those feelings that she's hid do resurface. So basically at some times, I do think that she is aware of her feelings for Cat Noir. And actually, an example of this is in Miraculous Secrets when Marinette says, maybe I'd see Cat Noir differently if there was no Adrien. So like clearly that's her admitting to her feelings for Cat Noir. But then like right after that, she goes on to say like, a world without Adrien, what was I thinking? Okay, I honestly don't remember exactly what she said, but I think it's actually a really good example of her feelings for Cat Noir kind of like peeking through, but then her like shoving her feelings deep down inside. Also, if you guys haven't seen Miraculous Secrets or you just don't know what I'm talking about, just look up Cat Noir as seen by Marinette on YouTube. Anyway, over time, I think it just keeps getting harder and harder for her to hide her feelings for Cat Noir, not only from herself, but also to everyone else in general, especially towards the end of season 4. To be honest, I think it started to happen more when she lost Cat Noir and Kodoneko. I think she finally just realized how much he actually means to her. Plus, with Strike Back, at least in that moment, Cat Noir was basically the only one that was truly there for her. And in that episode, after everything went down, I think that was like her realization moment that she hasn't really been the best towards Cat Noir, especially in season 4. And because of that, she thought that he would be the first to run, but he wasn't. And to be honest, I think that that just helped them build their relationship more. But obviously, when it comes to Ladybug's feelings, we aren't completely there yet. It's still going to take more time, which once again is what I think season 5 is for, or at least the beginning of season 5 is for. As for Sign 1 Part 4, Cat Noir side of Lady Noir, I can't see that there's been a whole lot of growth there, but there definitely has been some. Like he's done a lot better with not forcing his feelings on Ladybug. Sign 2 is the things between Lady Noir somewhat being resolved. There were a lot of not so great things that happened between Lady Noir and season 4, but in Kodoneko they were able to actually communicate and talk about things that needed to be said. Ladybug actually got to know how Cat Noir was feeling, and Cat Noir was able to kind of more accept his role as a superhero and the fact that Ladybug is a guardian and she's just trying to do what's best for them, which is stuff that needed to be talked about and addressed before the reveal could ever have happened. and their relationship needed to be a lot stronger than it was. And obviously not everything has been completely resolved. There's still some stuff that they need to talk about. Sign 3 is Hawkmoth being defeated. I personally think it's obvious that he will be defeated, and that's kind of like a whole other video in itself, but I'm not going to go into detail about it because that's not specifically what this video is about. But just know that based off of evidence, I am positive that Hawkmoth will be defeated. And obviously, if Hawkmoth is defeated, that means a reveal. The reason they couldn't reveal is because of Hawkmoth, but now Hawkmoth is gone, so there's no reason that they wouldn't reveal. Sign 4 is the end of an era, which also kind of goes along with Sign 3, but Thomas said that Season 5 is going to be the end of an era, which when it comes to superheroes, especially when there are going to be supervillains in the future, when someone says end of an era, in my head it means end of that villain. Sign 5, the Awakening movie ending. And before anyone says something about it, yes, I know the Awakening movie is not canon to the show, but hear me out. It's been stated that the end of the Awakening movie relates to the ending of Season 5. So obviously, the Awakening movie is like the retelling of the origins of Ladybug and Cat Noir, but the ending of the Awakening movie is somewhat the same as the ending of Season 5. And obviously, because they are two different things and are meant to be two different things, they're not going to end in the exact same way, but for the most part, they basically end the same. I actually totally forgot about the whole Season 5 ending / Awakening movie ending until I remembered a TikTok I made about it. So I think I explained it pretty good in that video. So instead of re-explaining things, I'm just going to show you guys the TikTok. So I just went on Instagram and I saw a little something. Linda Lee Rose posted this on her Instagram, and I'm not gonna like read the whole thing. I mean, feel free to pause it and read it. Anyway, it was basically a screenshot from an article, and within the article they were talking about the Awakening movie. And at one point it says the ending of the Awakening movie is gonna be the ending of Season 5. So like they took inspiration from the ending of Season 5 and like added it into the Awakening movie, but it's the Awakening movie, so it's different. Anyway, a little backtracking. I have been terrified to watch the Awakening movie because I was so scared that we were gonna sit there for an hour and 30 minutes and by the end of it they would not be together. Cause like this is miraculous, so like I just didn't see Adrien and Marinette, Ladybug and Cat Noir actually being together by the end of the Awakening movie. But I mean, none of this is really confirmed. But Thomas Asterix said that the ending of Season 5 was like an end of an era. And to me, especially with Seasons 4, like 2 last episodes being the end of Shadowmoth, or I think it was the last attack of Shadowmoth, but to me, that end of an era means the end of Shadowmoth / Hawkmoth, which, as we know, means a reveal. So I'm not saying anything, but I kind of, like, it makes sense though, right? The ending of the Awakening movie would be a reveal, right? It could be. So is that like foreshadowing a reveal in Season 5? Don't get me wrong, like I don't want to get anyone excited about anything because most of the stuff I say is completely wrong. But I'm just saying it's a possibility. But like, do you think we would watch an hour and a half long movie and there wouldn't be a reveal? Yes, I would actually, because it's miraculous. So yeah, basically what I'm saying is it makes sense that the ending of the Awakening movie would be a reveal, and because the ending of Season 5 is somewhat the same as the Awakening movie, it makes sense that there would be a reveal in Season 5. Anyway, that is all of the signs that I have. There are actually a lot less signs than I thought there would be. I think in my head I had like this big long list, and then I write it out and I'm like, oh, there's only like 5, but whatever. But I'm just putting this out here right now. If the reveal happens in Season 5, that means we'll finally learn the name of that stupid freaking hamster.